It's time for Animaniacs.
Out of every scene.
I wanna be.
Terrible to remember those from
In the universe.
Welcome everybody back to Was It a 10 or Were You 10? I'm Brian McBride. Today with me I have Charlie Wildey here. How you doing, Charlie?
Good, how you doing?
And Charlie, what was it that you loved as a kid?
Well, I really liked a lot of shows. One of the ones I remember really specifically, I watched every episode of all the first 3 seasons of Digimon.
Digimon.
Yeah, you definitely watched that.
Now this is interesting to me because I don't think I'd ever sine a full episode of Digimon going into this. What did you remember about it going in?
Well, I remembered the, I kind of like a lot of the basic lore, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't, I mean, it was like this show that I would watch with like, and then like the next day talk about it with my buddies.
Right.
You know?
Now a lot of people think of like right away I thought of Pokemon.
Right,
So I hadn't seen Digimon, but I assume like, oh, they see Pokemon here is making a ton of money.
Yep.
Let's just grab on and like see what we can get here.
Yeah, I think it was obviously with some of the naming stuff, it was a bit of a cash grab.
Yeah.
I mean, like Pokemon evolve, and in Digimon they digivolve.
Right. That's
Right.
different.
Yeah. Yeah, they did add another syllable there.
So, what we do here, we watch 3 episodes kind of throughout the run of the series, one in the beginning, one in the middle, one towards the end. And we see how the show evolves, and if it holds up to today's standards, and see how it goes. So the first episode, so we start with the intro episode, Charlie, and there's 7 kids, I believe, in the beginning.
Yeah, big handful.
And they're sort of at summer camp.
Something like
Just
that.
hanging out.
Yeah,
just
it doesn't really explain what the camp is that they're at.
No.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they get pulled into this world or something.
Yeah.
First thing kind of stuck out. I haven't seen as many episodes as you, so this was kind of tough because I found Digimon in general is a lot of story.
Yeah.
So it was kind of tough to follow a lot of it. It seemed like Ty kind of had a crush on that one kid.
And Matt's too cool. Just look at that haircut.
You know, he talked about like his hair and stuff.
Yeah.
He was a big fan of Matt.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Self-proclaimed cool one over there is Matt.
No autographs, please.
Is there something that goes on with that, or is that just sort of my...
No, I don't think at any
projected?
point that's ever really developed. But that would have been a fun direction, really progressive thing for that show to do.
It really would have been.
Yeah.
I feel like there's probably some fan fiction out there.
Probably. Oh, certainly.
Of
Yeah,
stuff going on.
Fan fiction in every direction. I feel like there's got to be like interspecies fan fiction
Oh, some
too.
Digimon
probably,
on people action.
Yeah, there's got to be, you know.
Let's talk about the intro and like the Digimon song
Uh-huh.
especially in the first episode. We'll get into the other song later. It's kind of a terrible song.
Yeah, not good.
Digimon, digital monsters, Digimon are the champions. Digimon, digital monsters, Digimon are the champions.
They introduce all of the characters like right up top to the audience just through voiceover from Ty. And then they introduce them all again in Digiworld to the Digimon.
Right.
They go like again through each human character.
Right.
And also each of the Digimon.
And I think they all end with Mon, right?
All of every Digimon's name ends with Mon. Yep.
Because that's how you know.
Yep.
You brand them.
Otherwise, you wouldn't know if they're a person.
No, you wouldn't.
Right?
Ends with a lot of talking, then in the end there's a fight. And I believe they end with like, oh, it's a very Japanese thing I'm finding where it's like, oh no, this guy is way stronger than me. Let me get super powerful. Now I'm way stronger than you.
Yep.
And that's basically how it ended.
Yeah.
That monster thing, that insect
The
thing
big
they
bug.
fought.
Yeah, big insect of some kind.
So is that typical you're finding throughout the Digimon series?
Yeah, there's always... Yeah, it's the same formula as like a lot of those Japanese things, like you said, like Dragon Ball Z, where like it presents like a new villain who's like this much more powerful than the previous villain.
Right.
And so then they need to get to like the next level of power, and then they can beat him.
And buy it, too. Buy our next Digimon.
Buy more toys.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's it for the first episode. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, the middle of season episode we watched, it was about, they were trying to find the 8th Digidestined, which is another dumb word. I don't...
Yeah, they add Digi to everything. They've got those Digivices. It just always, when in doubt, just add the word.
So in the second episode, everyone's looking for the 8th Digidestined person.
Right.
And we introduce Gatomon.
Right. Little cat.
Yeah, a little cat. Starts out as a bad. person,
Yep.
Digimon person thing. And she was going to attack this Ty's little sister.
Yep.
But then it's like, oh no, I can't, and I don't know why. Also, who's the next Digidestined? It's like, okay, I can... Let's do the math here.
Pretty clear. Yeah.
What's going on?
All the beginning stuff was in this other fake world, and then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden in the second season we jump into modern day Tokyo,
Right.
just back at home.
Right. So Wizardmon, the other bad guy at the time.
Yeah, he's working with the bad guy.
Okay.
He's friends with Gatomon now,
Okay.
which also Gato is Spanish for cat.
Yep.
Okay.
That I knew. I got that one.
Wizard is also English word for wizard.
Oh, okay.
So his character is like a wizard.
That one I was confused about. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's looking for... He finds the other Digi-device. Is that what they're called?
Yeah. Whatever.
Whatever. And a lot of sort of weird jokes in this. Very Japanese, too. What do you got? It's oh, I have hot sauce.
Oh, that part was weird. That weird little bat.
Right.
He distracted the bat with some hot sauce that he found.
The bat's I'm going to
And he
use
said
this.
they're great on tacos.
It's great on tacos.
Right.
Which I'm sure, the original Japanese didn't
Probably
mention
not.
tacos.
You don't
They
think they
probably
eat
said,
tacos there?
sushi or something, and they're
Maybe.
American kids don't know what that is, so they just said tacos.
Right. So they eventually find out that, surprise, his little sister is the 8th Digidestined person. And they go and they fight. They end up fighting Batmon. Again, not a lot of fighting, though, until, the very end.
Right, yeah. I mean, there are probably episodes that are heavier on fighting. This one was pretty heavy on talking.
Yeah.
There was a lot of talking in this one.
Lots of story in Digimon.
My favorite part in that fight, though, was that Wizardmon, who obviously, he flies everywhere. That's his
Right.
main method of transportation.
Right.
The way that the evil guy fights him is by just picking him up and dropping him over and over.
Right.
It seems to be his main move.
Right.
Whereas he can fly. So,
No, not that!
okay, I'm fine. I'll float back to the ground unhurt. But he drops him in the water, and that's the last we see him.
Okay, let's move on to the third episode, shall we? All right. In the later episode, we got to meet right away. You start with the action with Piedmon. Had he been in there for a while? Do you remember?
Yeah, from what I'm remembering, Piedmon, and they referenced a couple of the others. There was a group called the Dark Masters.
Okay.
And I think there were 3 or 4 of them.
Okay.
And they were this group that were supposed to be the ultimate evil Digimon.
Okay.
And Piedmon was one of them, and he's this clown guy that they're kind of fighting this whole time.
So right away they get into it, and they're way bigger than last time. All these Digimon.
Yeah, they've gone a lot more levels. But every time they evolve, they'll show that whole Digivolve sequence. Even if all 7 of them are Digivolving, they'll spend 5 minutes
Oh, it takes
just
forever.
showing that them growing into the next level.
And now they have a new ska song.
Hey Digimon, champions of the digital world.
There's one weird point where they have to get across a cliff. So of course the only reasonable thing to do when you go across is have a trapeze there.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
Yep, so they trapeze across, except for the ones who could just fly.
Right.
3 or 4 of them just flew.
Right.
Yeah.
But why is that there? Why?
Just made it more thrilling.
Yeah.
I guess, more exciting.
So eventually they get saved by, is it Angelmon, or
He's I don't remember what it's the next level of Angelmon.
next level of Angelmon. So they end up winning against Piedmon.
Beat Piedmon.
So you would think, oh, they beat all the Dark Masters, everything's good.
It says here that the real enemy is an evil force whose very existence warps the Digiworld and created the Dark Masters. So according to this, I don't think we're out of the woods quite yet.
Wait a sec, if it's not the Dark Masters, then who do we fight?
Anything else to say in the third episode?
No, this was the one that really showed, had the most action. And I think it had, it showed the really good character design that I felt really held up. I thought these dudes still look really cool.
Yeah.
All these, Digimon that are fighting each other. I get why I wanted those toys when I was a kid. I still kind of do. You know?
Right. It was tough for me to go piecemeal, though, I think, to say.
Sure.
Because I have no idea.
There's a lot of, it gets really lost in a lot of lore. There's a lot of stuff to just try to dive into.
And for a kid's cartoon, good on them for trying that.
Pretty complicated story, yeah.
Right, it takes a lot to get into, and if you're hopping in, I could see that being kind of tough, like I was doing. But good on them for trying. I like that.
Sure.
So overall, what are your thoughts looking back on Digimon?
I was impressed. I mean, it gets wordy. A lot of it doesn't make any sense, and it is super Japanese looking.
Yeah.
But I thought for the most part, the production value is pretty solid. I think it still looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And I thought these were fun. I'd like to go revisit more now.
Yeah. I think some of the CGI looked better than I was expecting. Some of the just regular animation I didn't think looked great.
It looks a little choppy.
Yeah. Looks a little choppy at point. But overall, I was surprised how different it was from Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like, just completely different shows.
Yeah, I mean, it was criticized as being like a Pokemon ripoff, but then it really structurally has nothing to do with Pokemon.
So overall, now it's time for the grading.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a 10 or were you 10?
I feel like it's I think it holds up. I don't know if I'm gonna give it a. It's not a perfect 10, but I'm not ashamed that I liked this when I was 10. I'm sticking with it.
Keep in mind, I'm at some disadvantages where I just saw 3 episodes.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's very Japanese, which is fine, but it's very, I don't know. It was hard for me to pop in, so at this point, because I haven't seen more, I'm going to say you were 10.
Guess I was.
So it's fine. Thank you all for watching, and tune in next time for Was It a 10 or Were You 10?